Hello everyone, Axel here. Before we dive into another wonderful session from Vaccasin at Yoga Point, just like to flag that this routine does indeed include some exercises that would not be recommended for everyone, especially if you are in the earlier stages after a hip replacement. So as ever, follow the advice from a physiotherapist who knows you or from your surgeon, especially if you've been given any hip precautions to follow. This set of exercises is very much more sort of advanced hip stretches for those who are awaiting hip surgery, so for before surgery. And as ever, listen to your body as you go and don't push yourself too hard. It is though a very, very nice routine that Vaccasin has put together. Just handle with care. And as ever, I really hope you enjoy it and stay safe, everyone. Take care. Thank you. And there we are. So here we are now. It's week 7 of Joint School, and thank you ever so much again to everyone out there who's been part of this exciting project, who's sending in ideas and feedback and suggestions for topics to cover, questions for us to cover. And indeed, Vaccasin, there's been some really, really nice feedback and positive comments from people who found your videos really helpful. So thank you very much for being part of this, Vaccasin. And today we are doing a 10-minute yoga special for the hips. As ever, I'm wearing the safety hat around this, and as ever, proceed with due caution. Follow the guidelines that you've been given from your surgeon or your physiotherapist. There are certain cautions and things particular that need to be taken with the hips and in terms of certain movements, and some of you will be well aware of particular precautions that you may have been given, particularly for those who have had your hip replacement and are now in the earlier stages of recovery. So follow the guidance from your team, and as ever, listen to your body as we enjoy this yoga practice from Vaccasin. Is there anything else you'd like to add before I sort of hand the screen over to you and we dive into things?
No, not too much. What I'm going to show, as I'll probably mention again, is that you can do this on a bed, though having the pelvis raised, even if you're on a bed, is going to be helpful. So having pillows underneath the backside, you can have your back supported as well. But this is a little bit more kind of traditional yoga posture, asana-based practice. But again, taking due caution and care, erring on the side of caution wherever it's needed, for sure.
Okay, yeah, excellent. And so and the key thing here is with the movements, you'll be doing them on the floor and with some pillows, but of course, if that's not possible, it can be done on a bed raised up, or perhaps even on a sofa.
Yes, yeah.
Excellent. Well, I will hand the screen over to you, Vaccasin, and dive into it, and I will follow along as best as I can as well.
Thanks there, Axel.
Fantastic. Okay. Over to you.
Okay there. Hello there, everyone, again. I am going to go through a number of postures regarding movement of internal and external rotation in the hips using yoga postures, which some of you, I hope, will benefit from. But as we've already mentioned, do take care and obviously precautions, and listen to advice. And as Axel said, if you've already had operations. Now I'm going to sit and have plenty of support underneath the pelvis so that there's plenty of height. Here I've got 2 cushions. You can use books and maybe a cushion, a soft cushion on top. You want a reasonably firm base. And as you sit down, you can have your legs out in front of you. Always good to broaden across the base of the body, adjusting the back of the pelvis, flesh of the buttocks, even the backs of the thighs out and back. Just bringing that little bit more onto your sitting bones. What you want to avoid is, when seated, being collapsed over. So having good height, hence the support underneath you, is preferable. So at this point, the legs straighten. If you're very tight or restricted in the legs, then have the knees slightly bent. I'm just going to move these cushions to one side for the moment, but having extra supports near you is always good. You're then going to bend what will be your right knee. I'm going to mirror you, so I'm going to bend my left knee, but you'll be bending your right knee, and you bring your right heel just in toward the pelvis, just as far as you can. Here you then lift up. You can lengthen through the sides of the body, ascend through the arms. Those of you that are able, keeping the left leg straight as you lift, and then down. You can rotate through the upper spine, turning the head from one side to the other. And then taking your right hand behind you. Again, you can have support underneath that right hand if it helps. You're going to take, be it the crook of your left arm, that's that area where the elbow bends, around the top of the shin, just below the right knee, or you can use the hand and you're going to turn. Keeping the pelvis, especially the right buttock hip heavy, lifting the upper body, getting the turn, and even allowing the right knee to come across the body slightly as you turn. If you're using the crook of the arm, you can use the weight of the arm to help you do this. Your right buttock hip heavy, lifting the chest, inhalation, exhalation. You can bring the leg to center and then back over again, and you come to the front. You straighten what is your right leg, bending your left knee. Again, I'm mirroring you so that you can follow with your now left knee bent. Foot comes toward the pelvis. Again, getting that lift up, opening. You can even again ascend up through the upper body, lifting, bringing the hands to the shin, lifting the torso, and then going for the turn with your left hand going behind you. Again, you can have that left hand supported as you bring your left knee a little bit more over the right leg, and be it the crook of the arm, or just using your hand, you're making your left buttock and hip heavy as you turn to your left side. Inhalation, exhalation. The left knee can drop that little bit further over to the right side as you turn. If you're using the crook of the arm, you can use the weight of the arm against the leg, just to create that little bit of supported leverage as you turn. And then you come back to center, you straighten the leg. Now, if you have more movement, I'll show you a slightly more intense way of working. But again, those of you that are taking that little bit more of a cautionary way of working, the bending of your right knee again, the foot in position toward the pelvis, and as you did previously, lifting the upper body, getting the turn, and allowing that right knee thigh to travel across the body. Head poised and balanced. You can turn the head, neck. If you want to work a little bit more intensely, you would take your right foot over the left knee thigh, sole of the foot in reasonable contact, be it with the floor, or if you're on a softer floor or using a bed, you can have the foot on the bed there. You lift and you're turning. You can see now you're getting that little bit more extension through the right side from the hip, lifting up, turning the waist and abdomen. You can use the crook of the arm or just the weight of the arm on the leg, and you make the right buttock hip heavy, lifting the chest, even turning the upper back, head, neck. Not jamming. I always tend to move in and out so as to give freedom through the nerves, through the muscles of the neck and upper back. And then you release around to the front. Leg straightens. Bending your left knee. Foot comes in toward the pelvis. You lift up. And again, those of you taking that little bit easier, just from this position as you did previously on the left side, be it using the weight of the arm or the crook of the arm, just to bring a bit of leverage to turn, but it is gentle, keeping the upper body lifted. Those of you working that little bit more intensely, you're taking your left foot over the right knee thigh. Sole of the foot on the floor, you're getting that lift up and you're turning. Left hand supporting you. Right arm going over that left leg, and you're bringing the left knee across gently, making the left buttock hip heavy as you turn the waist, abdomen, and chest. Turning the head does two things. It does release the tension that can often be held in the throat, around the upper shoulders, but it also indicates there's a freedom of working. So not everything's jammed and tight. There's a release as you work through. Last breath. And you come to front, lifting, leg straightens. Moving on from there, bending, straightening the legs. Remember, you can always keep the backs of the knees really soft and the knees slightly bent. If you want to extend into the arches of the feet, you do so. Here, you're bending now what will be your right knee to mirror you. I'll bend my left knee. You're bringing that foot in and then even putting your right edge of your hand in the back of the knee, very gently, bringing the foot in and releasing the right knee out to the right side. You can always have supports underneath, be it right shin, right thigh, or maybe a bit more toward the knee, depending on the release of the external rotation in the hip there. As you lift up, opening the chest, again, you can raise the arms, lift. You can even go forward slightly, just watching that you're not putting any pressure on the knee. Couple of breaths. And then back to center, lifting, allowing the leg to release. If you do have freedom and you've got support, you can always take some of the support away for a few moments. And if that's okay, great. But remember, it can always be replaced. You're then straightening your right leg. You lift up to the other side, bending the left knee, left foot comes in toward the groin. Again, using support, so this is where having support somewhere near you is always handy. And you're releasing that left thigh, left knee over to the left side. Foot can come in. You lift up. You can again even lift up through the side rib cage, lifting up. Plenty of support where needed underneath that left leg. You can go forward with this if the freedom of movement is there. Again, you don't have to be static in the postures. Sometimes the asana or the yoga postures can seem quite still, as if you're holding a pose. Far from it. There's lots of movement, be it the breath entering and leaving the body or subtle adjustments that you can work with. Here you can even have the hands on the floor, either side of the leg there. And back up you come. Leg straightens. You release for a moment. Now again, those of you that have the ease, you can do the same thing again. So your right knee is bending. Again, this back of the hand or the edge of the hand in the back of the knee just keeps the tendons and ligaments in the back of the knee softer. You're not trying to overwork the leg, but as you bend, you may find that knee tightens a bit. So you want to keep the back of the knee soft as you bring the foot in toward the left groin, right leg supported, and you can do as you were doing previously, raising and going forward now. Those of you that want a little bit more of a deeper action, you can now bend both knees. Soles of the feet come together. Supports where needed, underneath thighs, shins. You can lift up. You can bring the knees toward, and then you're not trying to push the knees down, but rather get length through the tops of the thighs. Lifting the chest. If you have the freedom, again, if it's available, you might not have so much support. Dropping the legs more toward the floor. But the object of these types of postures is not to push the knees to the floor, but to lengthen out and get the rotation from the hips outwards. Good lifting of the chest. You can even raise the arms, lifting and down. For those of you, obviously, who are working just one side, having done the right side, you're now doing the left with the foot coming in, lifting the chest, opening, And as you did previously, be it on lower support or slightly higher, taking that left leg out to the left side. As I say again, I mirror you because it can make it a bit easier if you see what you're doing mirrored in front. So you're bending your left knee out to the left side. And again, you can get that lift and go forward. And for those of you working that bit more intensely, soles of the feet now come together. Those of you doing one side, just keeping to one side. Those of you working that little bit more intensely, you're getting that lift up, and again, the extension through the upper body. Good lift. Hands can come down. You can even use, if you've got extra supports, a cushion out in front of you or support out in front and go slightly forward. Inhalation, exhalation. You want to soften the inner groins, inner thighs. Inhalation, exhalation. And then back up you come. And obviously, those of you doing just one leg, bringing your left knee up and straightening it. If you've done both legs straighten. To complete, very briefly, bending your right knee, heel comes in. Bending your left knee, you take your left foot out to the left side, and you're just dropping the left knee toward the right foot. You can go up and down a little, but as you do so, as I've got here, hand is supported, and as you lift the chest, you're not pushing down, just adding a little bit of weight, and then you come to center, foot comes in, and then to the other side. So having done your left knee bending, you're now going to the other side, so your right foot would go out to the side, and then bringing that right foot just very gently down. Those of you who've got reasonable rotation, internal rotation here, you can drop down that little bit further, but it's not a competition. It's working with your experience. If you were present for the meditation class that I covered last week, it's all about working with your experience, just working up against frontiers at most, rather than trying to push through. Last breath, knees coming up, and you can lift up, straighten the legs, and we'll leave it there today. There are many other cross-legged and forward positions that you can begin to try, but I'm leaving it at this for today. Over to you again, Axel.
Thank you very much, Vaccasin. That was wonderful and very, another lovely and peaceful guide through this practice. So thank you very much for that. What I would say on that point about other movements and crossing the legs, that absolutely some of the movements that we have gone through in this practice would not be appropriate. Certainly for some people after hip replacement surgery and other procedures. So just again, flagging that very clearly that and as if you are in the situation where you have had surgery recently and you have been informed about these precautions, then absolutely keep them in mind and be aware that in particular some certain things such as moving the feet sort of in across the midline and things like that can pose a risk to a hip that's healing soon after a hip replacement in particular. So again, making that clear and flagging that. But I think for many people who have uncomfortable, discomfort in their hips or stiff hips, this is a gentle sequence that will hopefully help to address that and very much aim to improve some of the freedom of movement and support a well-functioning hip. But as ever, use with due caution. Is there anything you'd like to add, in terms of other modifications or anything like that, or?
No, I think you can sit on a bed and have one knee bent off the bed. So for an example, if you were a lot higher, for an example, and you're sitting on the edge of the bed and taking the knee out and maybe holding the foot, these types of things, this is the same type of action on this that we were looking at. And these are always, again, one's working quite gently in this type of position, just going for that external rotation from the hip.
Yeah.
And for internal, you can actually lay down. Try not to go out of shot. Maybe not if you're not wanting to lay down flat, and you're laying down maybe partially raised, and you can just drop the leg in.
Yeah.
And drop the leg in, this time working the internal rotation from the hip. So again, in terms of gentle modifications, yes, there's a range that can be applied, but I would very much emphasize what you've brought up, Axel, that is, you know, do seek advice for taking things on.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, and particularly for something like this, because there are good reasons to be a bit extra careful with the hips, and particularly the newly operated hips. So before anyone moves through this sequence, if you are uncertain at all, or you have any questions, then check in with your surgeon or a physiotherapist or physical therapist who knows you and your situation and the procedure that you've had. And they'll then be able to advise on whether it is safe, and perhaps pointing in the direction of what movements to avoid or what else you can do, or as the case may be, give you the go ahead, and so that you can do it. While always, listening to your body and feeling if there's any resistance, not pushing into it. If there's any discomfort, not pushing into it too much, and just being very gentle to yourself as ever. But thank you so much for chatting. That was another lovely session, and of course we will we will make this video available here on our YouTube channel, and also on Facebook. And to anyone out there who hasn't yet tried out the Joint School app, then please do so. We're getting loads of wonderful feedback from the app and the features within it, and the exercise videos and the interactive exercise videos, where you can indeed add your own variations and track your progress. And please also do send in suggestions for other videos for us to do, and other topics and other sessions. And so yeah, keep up the good work out there, and thank you very much for Vaccasin for joining us again.
You're welcome, Axel. See you again.
Indeed. Take care now. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.